Education Department says it's concerned about the death of another security officer at the University of Fort Hare. Vice-Chancellor Sakhela Buhlungu's bodyguard was driving yesterday when a bakkie rammed into his car. The institution says the victim is a key witness in the murder of another of Buhlungu's protectors. Criminal law expert Ian Allis joins us now for more. Ian, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. I mean, knowing how these things play out, it's the second protector of the Vice-Chancellor that has been murdered now, but it's the third staff member of Fort Hare University that has been murdered here. Are you beginning to pick up a trend?
Good evening, Tubman. Good evening to the viewers. Let me start off with saying this issue with the corruption, especially within the higher education departments and universities, isn't a new thing. This has been going on for years, so one must rather not look at it so much as a new trend. There's an escalating trend. Because, unfortunately, what's happening is it's a lot easier to bribe your way to a degree than to actually go to varsity and earn it. So this is where the problem in actual fact is, that with the latest murders and this investigation in Fort Hare, it's starting to unravel a lot more of what's going on as an example. Rather than it being the major catalyst. It's just the fact that what they are doing is now actually delving into the problem and trying to resolve it. And that's what's got the syndicates up in arms and a little bit more fearful than what they would have been beforehand.
Yeah. It's a key witness attached to the Vice-Chancellor who was, of course, going to be revealing a lot in this upcoming fraud and corruption trial. The fact that that's the person that they would target, would that indicate that those who could possibly be implicated are very close to the Vice-Chancellor to the degree that they would know the whereabouts of this protector?
The point is they don't know necessarily how close they are, but they're close enough within the confines of the university structure and to see senior people to actually know who is blowing the proverbial whistle and who is giving evidence to the state to enable for them to proceed with the prosecution, and that they know if they are going to be a witness in that court case, they're the ones who are being pointed at, and that's where the motive is coming into this effect. So there are going to be some people who are at a very high level within that university who are behind this.
Does this then suggest that those who are possible witnesses and who would be in the future would need to be brought into some kind of witness protection program?
Absolutely. This is the whole aspect of this, and this isn't the only case. The problem is we don't have a proper witness protection program because we've just got no resources to plow into it. And secondly, with true witness protection, it's almost like an inter-country witness protection in a way, just simply because of the size of South Africa and the closeness of the individuals. It's very difficult. There's an aspect between witness protection and actual protective custody, and that is not being dealt with properly in a situation. Protective custody is almost that they've got the police watching out for these people and actually protecting them, almost assigning a guard detail, but that too they're under-resourced and can't do.
Knowing how criminals behave, I mean, in an instance like this, there's already a court case that is ongoing. There are some murders that we are seeing, university fleet manager being killed, protectors being killed. Do you think the criminal activity is still continuing?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It wouldn't. Well, there's no indication that it will stop. In fact, it's just going to get worse, because when it's shown that the cases end up folding because of a lack of witnesses, two things end up happening. You end up with a lot less whistleblowers because they're not willing to risk their lives. And secondly, they just see even more opportunity at other universities. We've got many universities in this country. Some bigger, some smaller, some accredited, some less accredited. But education is money, and when there's education involved, there will go ahead and be an opportunity for people. So the problem that actually rises, it's not going to stop, it's going to escalate, and unless somebody genuinely gets caught and they're shown that there's groundwork in protecting the individuals, nothing's going to change.
Is there anything that the institution itself can do at this particular point in terms of ridding itself of these elements?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Number one, the problem is it's a bit of a vicious cycle. Because if they dismiss the people, that only solves a portion of the problem. With this case in particular, it involved millions of rands worth of overinflation, of fake tenders, fake documents being submitted. That is very difficult to, in actual fact, stop. And there are senior officials in there who are monitoring what's going in and making sure that that these criminals are paid. Realistically, without the help of the state and plowing resources and actually be seen to be convicting and running cases successfully, there's not going to be any significant change that's going to happen. The problem is, and it's not directed as a direct criticism of the state, but there's been too many recent blunders of certain matters and high-profile matters that's caused the people also to lose faith in our prosecuting authorities and the police.
Recent blunders, poor witness protection program, poor whistleblower protection program. Another thought that comes to me, Ian, is the fact that these people who are being hit are people who are very close to the Vice-Chancellor, who is their head, who is leading this process of investigating corrupt activity. Are these criminals maybe sending a warning to the Vice-Chancellor to say, we are closer than you think you are and we can get to you?
Let me put it to you this way. That's not just a warning. That's they're firing a bazooka in a closed-off vault. They are making sure that he knows exactly what is going to end up happening to him. So that is more than just a warning. The Vice-Chancellor should consider himself in serious danger with this element.
And does this then justify, his call at some point was saying he wants the president himself to come and address him on this particular issue. In fact, he was saying he will speak to no one else. But does it tell us that he would need protection at that level where even possibly our state security apparatus would need to jump in?
Unfortunately, it's reached that stage. The problem is where will that end up stopping? Fine, he's a high-profile person being the Vice-Chancellor. But you've got syndicates of this nature operating on various levels. Where's it going to stop? And the problem is the resources are not being plowed. It's right to approach the president and say, look, this is what I'm trying to do, help me. But the problem is, unfortunately, with everything in a situation like this, it kind of ends up folding in a way because of lack of resources. Unfortunately, the corruption stems so deep that it's very, very it's going to be close, people, to the Vice-Chancellor. And unless that protection is afforded at that highest level, which might be the case on this one, but might not be the case next time, he's in grave danger from an assassination. And without him, the case folds. No one's going to stand up to it.
Ian Allis, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Criminal law expert there, Ian Allis, joining us on that score.